Yep, so we'll move on to our next speaker now. So I'll welcome in Owen Crawshaw from the Ecology Co-op. Owen is a full member of the SIEM, specialising in ornithology. He's got extensive experience in bird surveys and broad ecological work, including BNG assessments, European protected species licensing, and biodiversity inspections. Outside of work, he's a passionate bird watcher, photographer, master scuba diver, and a keen cricketer as well. So I'll hand over to you, Owen, for your presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that intro, Jonathan. Thanks everyone for having me here to speak today. I'm used to being on the other side of these webinars, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm going to do my best to make it fun and enjoyable for everyone, with lots of cool photos and yeah, hopefully not too much text on the screens. Start off apologising with the photo we've got up there that we used for marketing. When we sent it out, I suddenly realised that my boss's facial expression on the right there might not be giving the easy to use vibe that we were hoping to go for there. But I think in his defence, it was he was short on coffee that day and was struggling with a form. So I can assure you, Coreo is very user friendly. Just to introduce myself, as Jonathan said, I'm Owen. I'm a principal ecologist at the Ecology Co-op. We're a medium-sized consultancy in West Sussex, based in the middle of the South Downs. We've got satellite offices throughout the south. I'm coming to you from rural Dorset today. I'm a birder through and through. Not a great botanist. I can get by and get to UKHab level 4, but I've done quite a lot with the metrics, the statutory metric, and all of its previous iterations, yeah, done a lot of biodiversity net gain calculations. So hopefully that qualifies me to talk to you all today. Yeah, I've just been asked to explain to you all how the Ecology Co-op went about their process of shifting from pen and paper to digital data collection, how we implemented Coreo across our organisation. I just wanted to add that I'm not affiliated with Natural Aptitude. I am a paying customer. I'm not being paid to say nice things about it, although I think there has been mention of a couple of pints of Guinness from Dave if I don't torpedo his products completely. So I've been an ecologist for coming up to 12 years. I cut my teeth with a small consultancy in South Oxfordshire, joined the Ecology Co-op in 2019. And at both of those times, I was using pen and paper, my trusty weather writer. I was getting out in the field for manual data collection. I'd sent an email out to my colleagues asking them for photos. They came up trumps. This is my colleague Rosie, who appears to be out in some nice looking heathland, maybe some acid grassland going on in the background there. The weather's turned, her notes have got soaked, they're ruined. She's broken out the emergency Pringles, but she's still got half a smile on her face, at least. So these drivers for change, and why I felt we needed to move away from the pen and paper, the traditional method, been a huge uplift in the need for BNG and UKHab assessments, driven in no small part by the implementation of mandatory net gain, which came in with the Environment Act in 2021. I think pretty much everyone on this call today is going to be sciencey or have a science background and will understand the need to be able to evidence absolutely everything we do. Peer review is at the core of all the work we do. So being able to evidence anything you've collected in the field is really important. Can you imagine if, I don't know, further down the line, ultimately you're at a public inquiry and you are having to defend your findings and you need to find that piece of paper from 3 years ago with a little scribble on it, but it's disappeared off into the ether. What I'm going to show you just now is the notes I came back to the office with from a single UKHab survey of a school in Winchester. And you can see from that things got out of hand pretty quickly. I was coming back to the office with reams and reams of A4. You can see I've got my proposed plans there. I've got my existing plans. I've got species lists. I've got target notes. those lovely condition assessment sheets on the right there that are overflowing. It got to the point where I realized there had to be a better way to do this. This is what we're looking to produce from all of those notes that I came back to the office with. This is all of those notes that have been digitized into a UKHab map in GIS that many of you will be familiar with what this looks like. But that's not the finished product. That's going to be of some use to clients, but it's not ultimately what they want. They want to know this. They want to know, are they getting a 10% net gain in their habitat units, their hedgerow units, or their watercourse units? They want all of that put into a nice PDF that can go to the local authority as part of their planning application. I mentioned that the demand for these types of assessments has skyrocketed. By the time I've sent off that report, I've had 2 or 3 more inquiries for BNG assessments come through. I said I was going to talk mostly about UKHab and BNG, but Coreo, that's just the tip of the iceberg with Coreo. We use it for so much more. We use it for almost all of our species surveys. Just highlighting there again on these drivers for change, the need for efficiency of data collection, accuracy, the evidence, the paper trail, need for consistency and transparency. What I've got there on the right are my breeding bird survey field notes. I think this photo was taken sort of around October. I was writing up an ecological impact assessment. I've got dormouse survey data, reptile checks, breeding birds, all scattered around the office. And this is the breeding bird data that came back to me. Many of you on the call will know that the minimum requirement for breeding bird surveys is 6 surveys. There are not 6 pieces of paper there. The bottom right piece is a different site completely, and the top right is missing a survey date. It's missing temperatures, start times, etc. Just a bit of a disaster for our data collection, management, the storage, and the quality of the data as well. There had to be a better way. And so, unsurprisingly, given the title of this talk, we got in touch with Dave and Natural Aptitude. We first was introduced to Dave, I think, back in 2021, and we tried to make the shift from pen and paper to digital data collection back there. We underwent a trial, bit of back and forth from Dave and I, and before long we fell back into bad habits and we reverted back to pen and paper. And I think at the time we didn't fully appreciate the capabilities of Coreo, but it was also down in part to the way we tried to roll this out across our organisation. We could have done it better. A few years went by. 2023, my annual appraisal, my director pulled me in and said, Owen, I want us to go digital. We can do this better. I need you to spearhead it. And how are you going to produce a plan to get this out across the country and do it better than we did last time? So looking at a company-wide transition, we this time around we didn't want to go from day one. We're a consultancy of about 25 full-time ecologists. We didn't want to dive in and give everyone a seat on Coreo from day one with a UKHab survey license and say, go at it, everyone. This is how we're doing things now. We needed a bit of a staggered approach to get that buy-in and to make sure that we weren't going to go back to our old ways. So 25 ecologists, I asked for a show of hands in a team meeting. I wanted 5 Coreo champions. Those guys were going to jump on some training with Dave and with myself, and we were going to buy licenses for those 5, and we were going to send them out into the field to trial it, to start using it, taking other members of staff with them. We wanted to create a bit of a sense of people looking over other people's shoulders saying, oh, I like what they're doing. That looks jolly good. Their reporting time's half what mine is. I'd quite like a seat on Coreo. We wanted to get that, instill that buy-in and build it from the ground up. I spent a bit of time in the Coreo admin area, building and creating our forms, which is what you can see on the right there. And we went for this 6-month testing period with our 5 Coreo champions with a feedback session at the end that I was then going to take to management. And our feedback was that our staff were quite happy to sit on the fence. We had mixed responses. Some people wanted to use pen and paper for certain things, but they wanted to use Coreo for other things. So we had to make a management decision. We had to rule with an iron fist a little bit and say, look, we've heard what you're saying, but we can't have half our data in the cloud and half of it tucked away in a drawer somewhere. So thank you for your feedback, but we're going to ask that you now do all your UKHab BNG surveys in Coreo. We've got forms for badgers, bat preliminary roost assessments, tree climbing surveys. We don't currently use it for bat emergence surveys, but there is that capability in Coreo. And we haven't looked back, so we have not reverted back to pen and paper. We've been running it for a couple of years now. Apologies, there's probably going to be a little bit of overlap with what Dave went through here, but I've been asked to give you some real case studies of projects I've worked on and how I've utilised Coreo for my UKHab and BNG work. One of my colleagues came to me on a Thursday and said, Owen, I've got a BNG deadline on Monday. This site hasn't been surveyed yet. Can you help me? Not ideal lead in, but yeah, I said, don't worry, we can do it, and we can use some of the features in Coreo to make sure we hit that deadline. First things first, like Dave showed you, I set up my project in the admin area and I imported my redline boundary. I think I created that in GIS software and pulled it in as a shapefile. It's now showing nicely on my app, and I know that I'm going to be surveying the right area. It's a decent sized site, this one, 9.6 hectares. Now, normally with a site that size, I'd quite like to take an assistant with me for the field survey, maybe divide and conquer, or share the workload. I might dictate, they might take notes, or vice versa. But that wasn't an option for me in this scenario. I had to do some desk study on the Thursday, site survey on the Friday, and churn out that metric on the Monday. So I really needed to utilize that desk-based time and make sure that I could efficiently use my survey time when I had boots on the ground on the Friday. I didn't want to be fiddling around drawing all my polygons, lines, and points when I was on site. So there's the UKHab pre-survey that Dave took everyone through to UKHab level 2. You can be fairly confident from satellite imagery that you're going to be able to identify woodland, grassland, urban habitats there. So that just lightens the load for me when I was on site, and I'm now going to be able to copy that geometry, add my species lists, condition assessments, etc. So Friday rolls around and just under a day to do my UKHab survey, and I managed to bash it out. There it is. Lovely data, all my UKHab to level 4. Everything's got photos, everything's got condition assessments. I've got DBH measurements for all of those trees. It's all in one place. Brilliant. And on Monday, I used to be a real stickler for inputting data to the metric manually. I like to make sure that all my area measurements and my linear measurements measured up exactly, but the Coreo export tool to the metric, which Dave showed you, is much improved, and it really saved my bacon on this in this instance, and I was able to rip that straight out into the metric, and there it is. You can see there's a few gaps there, which we saw in Dave's presentation. The metric's asking me to confirm whether any of that mixed woodland is irreplaceable. I haven't noticed any ancient veteran trees in there, which it would have done automatically. So it's just asking me to confirm that. I can do that, no problem. Dave showed you what you can do when there's a missing field there. Scrolling along, I've got my Coreo ID, and that's that feature name that Dave showed you about, P1. I suspect this is probably going to be a pond. There's the filtering with the record, and I found my pond with a missing metric habitat. Need to give it another secondary code, tell the metric whether it's a non-priority or a priority pond. And in this case, it was a concrete lined basin. So that's my run through about UKHab BNG, where I went from desk-based to a full metric in a relatively short period via a full site survey. I did mention that we were going to focus on UKHab BNG, but I couldn't resist just touching on some of the other capabilities of Coreo, particularly for our species surveys. A few of my photos of species I've come across in my time there. I did warn you, I'm a birder through and through, so red-breasted goose is front and center there, and we're going to look at some bird survey data. Apologies, I appreciate that's a lot of data to throw onto one slide, but don't panic. I'm going to talk you through what everything's showing. Top left is the data as presented in my Coreo form. Now, there are other ways that Coreo can show this bird data, and I will touch on that, but this is a form I created, and those red dots are point data, individual birds. The red lines are showing as flight lines. Little bit of rule-based symbology in my GIS software, just at the bottom there, which I've saved as a style file, and I can apply to any layers as I pull it out of Coreo, put it into GIS, and that's what I'm getting. You can see it's recognized all the fields from calling birds, singing birds. I've got my Mars, Venus symbols there, and I've got species counts as well. But that's all six bird visits, which isn't great for putting into my report. So back to Coreo's lovely filtering, I can filter by dates and create my 6 breeding bird survey maps there, which are ready to go into my ECIA report. Just wanted to give people an idea of the time-saving capability that this has given us. It used to take an assistant ecologist a full day to transcribe 6 breeding bird surveys from pen and paper to a usable figure that could go into our reports. This now takes me half an hour to create six nice figures. So the time-saving capability there is quite considerable and has been brilliant. I said I was going to show other ways that Coreo shows data. In this case, birds. This is in the breeding bird survey template that Coreo hosts. The natural aptitude guys are always looking for new templates to create, and in this scenario, they're using the BTO codes there. It's not just those red dots and lines from my form that I created a couple of years ago. I think I've put a Manx shearwater, an Arctic skewer, and a Bonksy in the Solent there just to show those. So the benefits of going paperless, I've touched upon the faster turnaround times, the better data we're getting. The client experience as well is much improved. Coreo's got a really nice sharing function. I can give guest access to my UKHab and BNG projects and give my clients guest access there. They've got clickable data. They can go through, they can see all their species lists, they can see their condition assessments and photos of their site. It's really nice to be able to give the client that product quite quickly. I tend to send it the day after my site visit, and the client feels that they're getting some sort of product quite quickly, even if it's not my full UKHab BNG report. Those two at the bottom I've highlighted, and they're the big ones to me. It's why I love Coreo. It's being able to have that evidence at your fingertips. Maybe I'm a bit paranoid, but if I'm ever asked to show what I did on a certain date, I know now that I'm going to be able to find it very quickly and send it off to whoever needs it. And the improved data management, no longer am I losing my 6 breeding bird survey maps. It's all in one place. Just to touch on that evidence point again, we're going down slightly away from UKHab BNG here, but it's really important. I do quite a bit of European protected species license implementation. On one occasion, I was working under someone else's bat mitigation license as an accredited agent, and unexpectedly, Natural England did a spot check. They wanted to know from the license holder, my colleague, what had been done on that day and why I was suitable as an accredited agent to be able to have done that, which I hadn't had before, but Natural England were perfectly within their rights to do. This is a form I created at the start of our Coreo journey. Very, very simple data, but it's something I can have on my phone when I meet contractors. At the start of a soft strip, I can record my weather conditions. I can run through the protection of bats. I can make sure they've got a copy of their license on site, get a squiggle from a contractor so they know that they were there on that day. I can sign it, and then I can record exactly what was found with before and after photos. And I know you all wanted to see a close-up picture of one of those pits that was rescued. So there he is. Yeah, evidence trail. I just love it. So some challenges and some limitations that maybe come with Coreo and with digital data collection. I'd be lying to you if I didn't highlight that you're going to spend more time in the field if you go digital. I know I touched on the time saving in that UKHab BNG example, but what I've found is that the way you put the data in there, and Dave showed you, it just takes longer. Finding your individual species, maybe adjusting your polygons. It is a little bit slower than when you had pen and paper and you could just shorthand Taraxacum, sorrel, and all your other species. You could just note them off on your pen and paper. But with Coreo, you do have to take a little bit more time. Now that might be great news to some of you. You might love spending time in the field, but it's not without its challenges. There's my colleague Jen on the right, who wasn't looking where she was going while she was Coreoing, and she had to say goodbye to that walking boot. Whereas my colleague Josh on the left is upset to hear that his office time is going to be reduced. He likes his comfy chair and his companion. Some tech constraints, and I saw these in the comments earlier. It's worth noting that Coreo does work really well offline, but I will hold my hands up and say I have turned up to site and forgotten to download offline maps. And at that point, I'm just a blue circle walking around a blank map. I've solved it with a quick hotspot and to download that, but it's something to consider. Device battery life. We jumped on this straight away, and your surveyors are going to be using their devices more. And so when we appointed our Coreo champions, we gave everyone an Anchor power bank, and it was just peace of mind. So we know they always had a fully juiced device, and it was a slight health and safety consideration as well. Make sure that everyone can leave site with a fully charged phone in case they need to get hold of anyone or we need to get hold of them. And if you are considering rolling this out across an organisation, it's really important to be mindful that uptakes between individual are going to be different. Even our self-confessed tech dinosaurs have stuck at it. It took them a little bit longer, but they are now proficient in Coreo. So just be mindful. There might be some initial resistance, as there always is with new technology and changes in methods. So Coreo and the future, or certainly where I hope to see it go. It's fantastic to see so many people on the call today. I was a little bit daunted when I saw the numbers of attendees, but hopefully that's going to translate to loads of new Coreo users. We can build a bit of a community where we can share ideas, what's working well for us, how we can improve it, and improve the quality of our data together. And I appreciate a lot of this is targeted towards ecological consultants, but it's great to see that there are other scientists on the call today. Natural Aptitude team there they've got their finger on the pulse. They're always looking for new templates to add to Coreo. One that I'd like to see go on there is the Morph 5 river condition assessment. That's my colleague James out on site there. I'm not an RCA surveyor, but I think it's cartographer that have got the monopoly on that. But it's an integral part of BNG, so it'd be great if we can get that in and have everything we need in one place. Just last bullet point there, AI is coming, ready or not. Same summer conference this year was looking at AI technology. There were some great talks from early adopters, and the Natural Aptitude team are keeping an eye as to how we can potentially look at using AI integration into Coreo while ensuring we maintain a human in the loop approach. I said it was consultancy focused, so just a nod to any citizen science, any academics out there. Your study species, it's great way to record those, and who doesn't like to see some cool photos to break up the monotony of my voice. Top two, red squirrel and a barn owl chick that is being weighed in an ice cream tub. Two protected species here in the UK. Bottom left is some wattled cranes I came across in the Okavango Delta. Vulnerable species, less than 10,000 left in the wild, so it was important to record them. Got the data to some academics, and I think they actually went out and trapped and tagged the following week. And there's a lovely puff-adder shy shark. That's a South African endemic, and it's an endangered species on the IUCN. So yeah, just a nod to this is why we do it. It's a conference being held by the Biological Recording Company, So we do need to be recording those species to the best of our ability. Apologies to any botanists or entomologists on the call. They didn't make the cut this time round. Brilliant. Okay, thank you so much for that, and thank you for listening and bearing with me. This is a bit of a false ending. I've got 2 more slides to follow after this, but they have got a little bit of sensitive data on there that I've been given permission to share, but aren't going to be included in the recording.